What's up, guys? What's going on? I'm Paul. This is Pauline Theology's daily devotional with Trust in Jesus Ministries, and we are on John, the Gospel of John. We're on a new book today. We're going to do the introduction. We're going to talk about a little bit of what we're going to see as we read the book. So I'm hoping this will help give a brief overview. So when we read through it, we have some kind of things that are in our mind as we read to kind of know where we're going with the narrative, what's happening. And some of those things is just similar to the questions that we ask every time, like who is God, who is man, and how can we apply these truths? What's going on in the narrative? That's the first question. And so it's going to be a bit of that, except over the whole book. So that way we can have like kind of framework in which we can guide our thinking as we read through the scriptures. Now, we want to guide our thinking by what the scriptures say, but this is just an overview of what the scriptures say to help us as we understand, or as we read, to understand what the scriptures are speaking about. So, yeah, so what is, or who is God and what is he doing in the book of John? Well, the book of John is talking about a saving God. So the purpose of the book, John writes in chapter 20 that it is so that you might have life in his name, that you might come to believe and have life in his name. So the purpose of the book shows who God is and what he is doing. He's bringing salvation. Now, as we read through the scriptures, we're going to talk about, like, why do we need salvation? What are we being saved from? How do we achieve this salvation? How is salvation given? So we'll talk about those things as we read through the book, but he is a saving God. He's also a sovereign God. We're going to see he's sovereign in salvation, and he's also sovereign in all things, as his picture of who he is seen throughout the scriptures. We'll also talk about Jesus as the unique Son. We'll see that Jesus is the one in which the Old Testament points towards, as we see, like, he is a greater of many things that the Old Testament portrayed as great things. We're going to see him as the manna, the true manna. We're going to see that. We're going to see him as the serpent in the that was lifted up to save the people. That's that theme of salvation again. We're going to see that he's the true temple, the place in which God's presence resides. So we're going to see all of these types of themes about who God is throughout John. What's it say about man? Well, we're going to see that, again, the purpose is for salvation. So we're going to see that man is in need of salvation, that we are all sinners, and that the only way for us to be saved from sin, from the slavery of sin, the overall power of sin, is through Jesus. So we're going to see that we're in need of salvation. We're also going to see that we're responsible for this belief, that it is each of us individually are responsible for this belief. One of the commentators that I'm reading to help me understand the book just a tad bit more sees this book as the purpose is not just for salvation or for coming to belief, but coming to belief for the Jewish people and their proselytes. So people who are following Judaism. And the reason I'm saying this is because it highlights the individuality of the person who needs salvation. And in the Hebrew culture and faith, it is a community belief, a communal belief in the covenant that was established between all of the people. And so that is how they find their salvation, is through that covenant of the family. Now, obviously, it's going to talk about loving your brother and your sister. And this is how we are recognized as Christians, because being a part of community is so important and so vital. But it is a highlighted thing that John does in recognizing that it is an individual's decision to make a choice whether to believe or not. And with the belief, they find life. But in the rejection of the belief, which they are all responsible for, all are culpable for, they will find death or separation from God. So how do we apply these truths to our lives? Well, I mean, to apply these truths, I would say repent and believe the gospel. But as we read through this, man, let's also see how Jesus lives. I mean, his life is incredible. And what we're going to do as we read through this is we're going to come to his heart and see how he loves, how he cares, how he follows the Father completely in all that he does, being submissive to the will. And so in that way, we also should be living out our lives in complete submission to the Lord, because Jesus is our example. We're going to see how he deals with emotional, mental, and spiritual stress as he prays, takes time to himself. We're going to get to see all of these things, all of these aspects that we should be trying to follow as we live like Jesus. So I hope you are as excited as I am as we are about to dive into the Gospel of John. And I thank you guys for listening, and I'll see you as we go into 1-1.